Previously on Med-El. But how does it hold up today? It's fine. But how is it fine? Greetings y'all, I'm Med-El. Welcome to part 2 of my 4-part review of Sonic the Hedgehog. This episode will cover the gameplay of Sonic 1. Spoiler alert, you hold right and press A every now and then. Sonic the Hedgehog was released on June 23, 1991. It is a 2D platformer with 18 levels and boss room. You play the game by running and jumping from the start to the end of each stage. You can collect rings that protect you from taking damage from an enemy or stage hazard. Collect 100 rings to gain an extra life. The game is a high-speed platformer, with the level design allowing for faster pathways if you know what you're doing. The faster pathways are usually found higher up in the level, where the slower paths are near the bottom of the stage. Sonic can destroy enemies, called badniks, by using the Super Sonic Spin attack. Yes, that's what the manual calls it, although all it amounts to is jump on or roll into an enemy to destroy it. The game is split up into 6 zones, with each zone having a different theme to it. Each zone has 3 levels in it, called acts, with a boss at the end of the 3rd act. The only exception is the last zone, the Scrap Brain Zone, which does not end with a boss fight, but instead segues into a separate boss room. The zones are as follows: Green Hill Zone, which has a Tropical Island theme, Marble Zone, which has a dungeon theme, Spring Yard Zone, which has a theme, Labyrinth Zone, which has an Ancient Ruins theme, Starlight Zone, which has a city theme, and Scrap Brain Zone, which has a factory theme. The final zone, which serves as Scrap Brain's boss, has the same theme as Scrap Brain. Sonic the Hedgehog places strong emphasis on gaining and carrying momentum throughout the level. Doing this requires skill, especially the more you progress through the game. It's hard to keep momentum and keep moving fast in the back half of the game. I can beat Green Hill Zone Act 1 in 27 seconds, but Scrap Brain Zone Act 3 took me 3 minutes and 36 seconds to finish. Sonic 1 was the first platformer to prioritize speed as much as it did, and as a result, takes it safe a lot. Every other zone relies on traditional platforming instead of the speed-focused level design used elsewhere. Green Hill is speedy, Marble is slow. Spring Yard is filled with bumpers, while Labyrinth makes going slow a gameplay mechanic. Starlight is all ramps, but Scrap Brain gets you through at a snail's pace. It's not bad, all of the levels are designed well. I understand why they didn't lean into the speed aspect all the way, but it does lead to Sonic 1 being super annuated by future games in the franchise. Instead of covering each aspect of the game individually, as I have in the past, I thought it would be better to cover everything as a player would as they move through the game. Green Hill Zone is easily the best zone in the game, it being the easiest to gain speed in and the one with the most inviting theme. Who doesn't want to run through a tropical forest? Each zone has around 3 types of badniks as obstacles. The badniks get used throughout the game and are not unique to each zone. In Green Hill, you have Chopper, who jumps up toward you, Motobug, who drives toward you, Crabmeat, who paces back and forth, Buzz Bomber, who flies towards you, stops, fires an energy pellet, and flies off, and Neutron, who appears in scenery, fires an energy pellet, and disappears. Green Hill has the most badnik varieties in any zone in the game. Dr. Eggman, the game's villain, shows up in every boss fight to kill you himself. He sits in his Eggmobile, piloting some new contraption every time. The Eggmobile by itself doesn't change with each boss. There's usually something poking out of the bottom of it that Eggman uses to attack you, but other than that, every boss, besides the final boss, is indistinguishable design-wise. The first boss sees Eggman try to crush you with a checker wrecker ball on a chain. Marble Zone is the first traditional platforming zone in the game. It's executed quite well, but people don't like it because it's not what a Sonic game is supposed to be. Sonic 1 doesn't have any bad stages, but many of them feature slower elements in them that were abandoned by the series later on. Marble Zone is a dungeon filled with lava and spikes. The badniks in this zone are Caterkiller, which you have to hit the head of, otherwise it flies apart, Buzz Bomber, and an unnamed Bat Badnik that swoops down at you. Here we see how intelligent the badnik placement is in the zones. Marble Zone is considerably more cramped than Green Hill, and the main badniks you find either require you to roll into them or jump into them to avoid getting hit. They provide considerable challenge, but it never feels unfair. The badniks have obvious weaknesses to exploit. An experienced player will find Marble Zone to be nearly as easy as Green Hill. Eggman drops lava on you in the boss fight for Marble Zone. The boss is fine, although I hate how they just used the fireball sprite seen earlier in the zone. It doesn't look good, and if this game was made a few years later, I'm sure we could have gotten some beautiful lava animation. Spring Yard Zone feels like an afterthought. It's the only zone that I couldn't tell you what the theme is. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason why it is the way it is. is an indiscriminate mess of pits, bumpers, and spiked balls. It feels like a pinball-inspired level, made by someone who has never seen a pinball machine. The badniks in this zone are annoying. Crab meat now shoots energy balls, and when you combine that with the main buzz bombers roaming about, the platform sections can get frustrating real fast. There are unnamed spiked badniks that you can't jump on, which wouldn't be that big of a deal, except they're only on tall platforms with no room to roll on. There are also rollers, which curl into a ball and try to smack you. They're fast and hard to avoid. Spring Yard is definitely a leg up in difficulty compared to Marble Zone, but it's still manageable. I don't like the way it challenges you though. Sometimes you just lose control and can't really get out of it yourself. Spring Yard also likes to confine you to an area and make you dodge projectiles, which is not always fun. The boss for this zone is the laziest design-wise. Eggman deploys a spike on the underside of the Eggmobile and uses it to destroy the platforms you are standing on. It's a cool fight, but this is the opposite of visually interesting. And now we come to Labyrinth Zone. Hoo boy. Labyrinth Zone is rather infamous among Sonic fans as the worst water stage in the classic era. Many Sonic fans have a negative opinion of water in Sonic games because of this one zone. You see, water slows Sonic down, makes his jumps floatier, and if he stays too long in it without gaining air, Sonic will drown. This seems pretty logical. The problem that people have with this stage is that in a game dedicated to going fast, it's not fun to have a zone designed to prevent you from going fast. There is no such thing as a fast path through Labyrinth Zone. You are going through the water whether you like it or not. Compounding the frustration are the hazards you face throughout the zone. There are quite a few projectile dispensers, swinging maces, and extending spears here. These are smart hazards, since they take advantage of how much the water slows you down. They would be simple obstacles at a normal level, but here they ramp up the challenge. As they should, since at this point we are over halfway through the game and the difficulty ought to be increasing. So Sonic fans don't like it. But what do I think of it? I think the Labyrinth Zone hate is overhyped. I think it is a well-designed, challenging stage that never feels unfair. Yes, you're going slow, but as mentioned previously, every other zone makes you take it slow. People point to drowning as one of the reasons they don't like Labyrinth, but I think it's managed pretty well. The time you have before you need air is generous, and there are bubbles everywhere that can give you more air. They don't provide a constant stream of air, but bubbles come up frequently enough where if it's a problem, that's your fault, not the game's. The badniks in Labyrinth Zone are like the stage hazards, designed to take advantage of the water's slowing effect. Burrowbot hides in the floor and jumps out at you when you least expect it, Jaws swims in a pacing motion, and an unnamed badnik sends spiked balls your way and then floats toward you. The boss fight for Labyrinth Zone is the most frustrating one in the game, which is impressive, because Eggman never attacks you. You see him, he tries to flee, and you chase after him through a platforming challenge. There are extending spears and projectile dispensers galore, and the water is rising below you. It is very difficult, and not in the "oh man, I need to get good" sense. It's difficult in the game hates me" sense. I am not a fan. Starlight Zone is a nice reprieve from Labyrinth Zone. Where Labyrinth is slow and claustrophobic, Starlight is fast and open. There are ramps everywhere and hey, actual loops. We haven't seen that since Green Hill Zone. While Starlight feels like a break from difficulty thus far, make no mistake, it is still the penultimate zone, and you still have to keep on your toes. There are a lot of bottomless pits here, with some tricky platforming required to get through. The main challenge here comes from the badniks, however. The spiked ball badnik from Labyrinth Zone shows up again, but this time it doesn't do anything with its balls. It just advances towards you slowly. This is quite annoying, since it means you can't touch it without taking damage. At least you can destroy them when you have invincibility. Unlike these bomb badniks, which set a fuse when they see you, explode, and fling 4 energy balls outwards. Naturally, they are only found in groups in tight hallways. Better make sure you collect every ring you see. At the end of Act 3, Eggman shows up once more and gives you the most creative boss battle in the game. He drops bombs on these seesaws, which can be used to fling the bombs back at him. If you fail to move the bomb for several seconds, it will explode and fling 4 energy balls outward, just like the badniks you encountered earlier. You can also use the seesaws to fling yourself at Eggman, which is honestly easier than trying to time the bomb toss-ups. I really like this boss. It's not super easy, but it's not frustrating and gives you time to figure out how to fight it. I like how you can attack Eggman 2 ways using the same system. You'd think it'd be more difficult, since this is the last boss fight before the final boss. Scrap Brain Zone is the final complete zone in the game. and man is it brutal. Scrap Brain is the very heart of Eggman's operations. The whole zone is made of metal, with no organic life to be found. There aren't too many badniks here, except for the occasional caterpillar in the areas with multiple ball hogs. Ball hogs dispense bombs that bounce down these ramp sections. The bombs take forever to explode, which greatly slows you down. Scrap Brain is distinctive in that it generates challenge by just throwing everything at you all at once. You cannot catch a break in this zone. Act 1 is bad enough, but in Act 2 you move inside and now everything's cramped as well as dangerous. You never feel like you're good at Scrap Brain, you only feel like you're surviving. Once you beat Act 2, the game does something new. Transitions seamlessly into an interactive cutscene. Eggman is on the other side of this laser barrier and he destroys the floor you were standing on, saying you plummeted down to... Oh no. No. Nope, this is what happens. Eggman sends you plummeting down to Labyrinth Zone Act 4. Why? I know I said I thought Labyrinth Zone was well designed, but Scrap Brain Zone Act 3 is significantly harder than Labyrinth Zone ever was. All the old badniks are here, but they are placed in the most annoying spots possible. Air bubbles now barely ever pop up, leaving you desperate for air at all times. This makes getting through the stage as fast as possible a requirement, not just something that's fun. In fact, nothing's fun about this level. It is without a doubt the hardest level in the game by a long shot. But you do get through it eventually, and you get sprung up to the final boss. The final boss is called the final zone by the game, although it's less of a zone and more of a boss room. For a final boss, it's not that hard. I beat it on my first try when I first encountered it. Eggman tries to crush you with giant pistons and tries to fry you with energy balls that come down. You can only damage the machine by hitting the piston that Eggman is in, not an empty one. After a tough battle, you destroy Eggman's creation. He attempts to flee in his Eggmobile, but you don't let that happen. You have now beaten the game. Oh. Or not. So I might have forgotten to mention the special stages. At the end of an act, if you reach the end of the stage with 50 rings, a giant ring will appear. Jump into it and you will be transported to the special stage. There are 6 special stages, and they are tied to order of access. Once you enter a special stage, that specific special stage will not appear again unless you have visited every other special stage. The special stages are rotating mazes with a Chaos Emerald somewhere inside. Your goal is to get to the Chaos Emerald, because only with all 6 Chaos Emeralds can you get the true ending. The true ending isn't too different from the bad ending, but I suppose it's satisfying. The special stages require memorization to beat, since if you touch the gold blocks at the ends of the maze, you'll get transported to the main game without collecting the Chaos Emerald. It can get frustrating, since a lot of time, you can't really control where you go. I wouldn't say it's entirely luck-based, but it certainly feels that way sometimes. Overall, the special stages are pretty ancillary. You can play the whole game without seeing the giant ring, and you'll still have a good time. So why are they here? There are 2 reasons why the special stages are included: to be a graphical showcase and to provide higher replay value. Back when Sonic the Hedgehog was released, the Sega Genesis was competing with the Nintendo Entertainment System, as the Super Nintendo Entertainment System would not be released in North America for another 2 months. Sega's 16-bit system was far superior graphically than Nintendo's 8-bit system, so Sega really pushed that aspect in their marketing. From the get-go, Sonic the Hedgehog was designed to show off what the Genesis could do, so the special stages were included as proof of the Genesis's power. This is especially evident in the background of the special stages. You have a grid of birds on a cloud background, which turns into squares and morphs into fish on an underwater background, and it's constantly moving. Nintendo's machine couldn't do that. The other reason why the special stages are here is to add replay value. The base game has the replay value of finding faster ways through the levels, but that alone might not be enough to incentivize players to replay it. That's where the special stages come in. If you want the true ending, you need to get good at a whole new type of level that itself can only be unlocked if you're good at the game. This adds additional challenge to the game that incentivizes players to keep playing. Special stages and Chaos Emeralds may seem pointless today, but they were like collectibles in an open world game. They don't really add anything, but it's fun to try and get them all. I haven't really touched on how Sonic plays in this game. I think I've rambled about the stages for long enough, so now I want to discuss the power-ups found in the game. Power-ups are found in computer monitors on the ground that can be busted open by jumping or rolling into them. Power-ups include the Super Ring, which gives you 10 rings, Shield, which gives you a shield that will protect you from one hit, Power Sneakers, which temporarily increases your speed, 1-Up, which grants you an extra life, and Invincibility, which makes you invulnerable for a short period of time. All of these are helpful, although I usually avoid the Power Sneakers since while you do go faster, you also lose control of where you're going much easier. Oh, and I forgot to mention lampposts. Lampposts serve as checkpoints in this game. When you die, you will be brought back to the last lamppost you passed with no rings or power-ups. They're convenient. And I think that's everything. Sonic the Hedgehog is a good game, but it has definitely been surpassed in quality by many other games in the series. It could be much worse though. Thank you for watching, and make sure to look for Part 3 music when it releases next week. See you then! Like and subscribe, Eggmobiles.